Hi, everybody. Welcome back and happy Monday, which means normally we do hot, messy topics, right? Well, today's a little bit different because instead of doing hot, messy topics, we are doing a Jersey / Dubai recap, a little bit slight more like Jersey, obviously, but we have one of my favorite people, so bad it's good, with Ryan Bailey. So we're about to dive into this, and you guys know you're going to get one hell of a 1 hour full of a show. Or at least 40 minutes. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Anyways, guys, I hope you had the best weekend. If you were in Charleston, then happy Pride. If you're anywhere else, it's the month of June. Happy Pride. My 10th anniversary is on Sunday, which is crazy with Jason. So there's a lot happening, lots going on. But if you guys are out this weekend, you're in Charleston, then DM me because I want to play. But otherwise, we're about to get into all of it. Before we do, smash that like button. Show some love. Get subscribed, and let's welcome Ryan Bailey. Hello.
Smack that like button, everybody. Smack it. Smack that like button.
Smack the hell out of that. Treat that like button like it's like you're just tapping that ass.
Whoa, happy Pride. Wow.
Oh, happy Pride. Okay. Hi, Ryan. Man, I missed you.
Wait, I miss you too. You mentioned Pride, and it's Pride in West Hollywood this past weekend. And I know this isn't hot, messy topics, but do you know why they covered the TomTom sign with Pride flags and just left the pump sign up?
No.
Yeah. I have my buddy Jairus was there, and I had him take pictures. They covered the TomTom sign up with Pride flags, and they just had the pump sign right next to it. You know how they have both signs now? And I was like, what is that all about? Why did they cover up the TomTom sign? Is Lisa being messy, or does she just think pump represents Pride more than TomTom?
Oh my God. No, it's totally, Lisa doesn't do anything without knowing what her next 5 steps are.
Yeah, right? Like that's an intentional step. That's an intentional move.
Step. Like, okay. Yes, we are going to celebrate. And she could have even probably said to the Toms, like, why would you cover up the sign? She could be like, listen, like, this is a time to celebrate. And unfortunately, you two, as of right now, you guys are triggering to people. And we want to celebrate. This is a day about celebration. It's not about you. I could see her being like, this isn't about you. So get out of your feelings. This is a moment to celebrate the LGBTQIA plus every other letter that was added to it community. And it's not about you. So get out of your feelings.
It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about this lovely community we've created.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like, next time we go, it's like it could be like August and it's like dog month, and then the TomTom sign is like covered with a photo of Jiggy.
Yeah,
and it's like you're like, again, and she's like, it's not about you.
I can't believe they covered the TomTom sign up. I can't believe that. Poor Kim.
My God. Before we get into it, by the way, since we're gonna be talking about Jersey, I want to ask you and everybody else, I have to play. So I had somebody who went out of their way, guys, who has been on Jersey. We know Jersey. She went out of her way and she wanted to have a moment. Good for you. You wanted to have a moment. So you used my video. You posted it on your podcast. And then, you got your moment.
Who was that? Explain more.
Kim D. So I'm going to play the video and I'm going to say one thing. The relevancy that you clung on to over the last 14 seasons was from this show. Now, babe, the reunion was canceled. You're getting a revamp. Somebody's getting their own show. And what left do you have? So when I was nice to you and you did this to me, I'm going to play the clip.
Oh, my God.
I know, Ryan. I'm sorry to bring you in the mess. And
hey,
it's not a Ryan Bailey thing.
Hey.
But I got to show you. Let's play the clip. Here we go.
Anticipation.
Oh, shit. I know.
What are we about to see here?
It's not, it's not crazy bad, but I'm going to give you the context at the end of it.
Okay.
She titled it A Damn Shame. Clever play on my name. It was cute. Clever. And you tried it. You didn't succeed, though. Here we go.
Danielle, they're kicking you out. Why are you not doing anything to stop it? 9 times out of 10, they're usually paying you for the glam, the hair, the makeup, and all of the stuff. They don't really owe you.
9 times out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10, she doesn't pay. So again, he has no idea what he's talking about. She does not pay. And on top of it, again, I'm going to repeat, they bought tickets.
Continue.
Continue.
They don't really owe you that sort of access, but also
I'm going to stop you there because I know you're going to stop me.
Somebody else has to say something.
Appalling.
Say it,
To
girl.
say that they don't owe you anything, it's like, well, she didn't pay her, and she said that buy a ticket and you can go in a VIP. So she owes her to the VIP a seat down so she can actually sit because she wasn't able to after a 14-hour day.
So obviously, if you would have stayed right here in this little circle, you wouldn't have got kicked out. And obviously, if you would have stayed right here and you weren't acting like a fool, you probably wouldn't have got kicked out.
Wow.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Acting like a fool. Who acted like a fool? That's who acted like a fool. Who acted like a fool was this fool.
Danielle got kicked out. Anything to stop.
Okay. What just gives me the most joy is like, so then I send a text message and I'm like, oh no, you asked me questions and anytime you reached out, I was there for you. And this is becoming a theme in my life where I help out and then I get burnt or shit on. But the most gratifying thing here is Kim D, I send you all of the love, but your bus just hit the last stop. So good luck.
Wait, Adam, I'm trying not to be I'm trying not to be. This is not meant mean. Kim D has her own podcast.
News to me.
Like, no, I'm being serious. Like, I knew she used to guest on the David one.
I didn't know.
Wow.
I didn't know until this, which I totally would have supported the podcast because anytime Kim D has messaged me in the past, or talked on the call, whatever, I've always just been so sweet. And now I'm like, I didn't even know you had your own podcast.
See,
I would have supported the podcast.
This is what I'm talking about with Jersey. And I think this is like part of the root of like the rot of New Jersey is like stuff like this. Like stuff is going down there where everybody has tried to make careers off of at one point being on a handful of episodes. And like, there's just a toxicity that we do not see in a lot. I mean, there's toxicity all across Bravo, all across reality television in general. But Jersey, there's like a special something that it just seems like it is rotted to its core. Like, I don't even know at this point who to point fingers at. I mean, I know a couple of specific things, but it makes for a very, and this is just my opinion, so don't come at me too hard. It's a very, not even uncomfortable situation to watch anymore. It just becomes monotonous. You're just like, okay, yeah, who's fighting with who? Like, okay, like it is so shackled to like Teresa and it's shackled to Melissa, but it's shackled to the history of this great show. And I feel like because it's shackled to that, we don't ever truly learn or care about anybody new coming in. Like Danielle all of a sudden has like the bougie runway show. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's just, I'm finding it very hard to care. And then also just, all of us, like the Twitter of it all and all that stuff, it has actually taken root. Those storylines seem way more interesting than what we're seeing on TV. And you're like, wait a sec. People are reaching out to smaller Twitter accounts and trying to get them to plant stories. That seems insane to me. Truly. Right. And I talk about this stuff every day, but with New Jersey, I always get scared to talk about it because it's like wading into very troubled waters where it's almost not worth the effort of talking about it because people are so set in who their team is that you completely miss anything that the show is about anymore.
You know what's so crazy is I think for the last 4 years when I started this channel and grew a community with everybody who supported it and it was so special to me, it means everything. I always my whole mantra was to tread lightly, right? But then it's kind of like when you start lifting weights and your hands are on the barbells and you start building these calluses and you start kind of getting a little bit more hard and you're like, okay, you know what I mean? Like it hits a little bit different. I think now there's no longer that part of me that's afraid to talk about things. I'm like, I've been in trouble with Bravo. I've been in trouble with Andy Cohen. I got in trouble over the Jen Shah stuff. I've literally tried to be so nice on certain things and then you still get burned. So now at this point, I think that my best advice to anybody is just authentically say what you want. I'm not saying go be have ill intent and just slam people and destroy them. But even this show, I think that somebody dropped the ball in the sense that the cast should not have been allowed to be divided in the sense that they don't have to communicate on the show. I think that was a huge dropping of the ball. Obviously, created an even bigger divide because now we're allowing it, which shouldn't have been a thing. You guys are getting paid 6-7 figures, some of you, Teresa, to film this show. You should not be allowed to disengage in that sense, like
Well,
be
it's
tossed from the table. It shouldn't happen. Somebody should just have to be fired.
Well, first of all, it's very interesting because I almost think at this point, sometimes it is just they make it not worth talking about because people are so set in their ways and who they like that it really, even if you try to come from a place of logistics of like logically, this is what I think, it's hard. People don't want to hear it anymore. And Teresa, you can't argue. She is a star. She like helped start this whole craze of Housewives.
100%.
I just feel at this point, I just don't know. It's like, I wish they would just give her a spinoff already or something because, watching her disengage, it's very interesting because, we have the disengagement of like Meredith Marks on Salt Lake, where it was kind of funny that one season. And then you can actually, relate it to Vanderpump Rules this season where people are saying, well, Ariana didn't have that tough conversation with Tom Sandoval, but it feels different in Jersey. It feels like we've just played the same song again and again and again. And I have no hopes, nor do I need for Melissa and Teresa to ever make up. That's never going to happen. Right. But what this show seems to have gotten about is like this kind of like, no, I didn't spread that rumor. No, I didn't betray you, but that they did. And that they actually reached out to other people to try to do that. So you're watching this show knowing that they went to great lengths to really try to hurt people. And to me, that's fascinating, but I wish we would talk about the truth and the honesty of that.
You know what I see what they're, something that I see a pattern on, like even the Kim D thing, like when I interviewed Kim, she was so sweet to me. She was like, I don't know what Teresa has over Bravo. And like, they give her everything. But now obviously Kim is friends with Teresa. I spoke about Danielle. Teresa doesn't like Danielle. So I understood the hit. Like, I speak Mafia too with you. I get it. Bravo Mafia, I'm in it with you. But what I don't understand is the stronghold. And I guess it's the longevity that Teresa has had. But even watching Jackie Goldschneider sit across the table and be like, Melissa, don't do that right now. And Danielle calls it out and she's like, wait a minute. This is the woman who's like been there for you. And now all of a sudden you feel like this could be your new ticket. And she's like, I don't need to be more than a friend on the show. That's exactly what you're doing. Nobody comes on the show and says, I just want to be a friend of. They don't do
I
that.
love Jackie. See, and I love Jackie. So it's really, I've loved Jackie in the past, and I thought she kind of got a raw deal and not being picked up last season. But it is interesting because she's definitely made a choice for herself. She's made a choice for herself and her family, and that choice is, I want to be on the show. Even if she will not admit that in the long run, she made that choice. And you can see in that scene, which I think was one of the funniest scenes of last night, was when they were getting the most intense facials, Teresa and Jen Aiden. Did you see the extractions? Like, it was just all red. Like, I was like, oh my God, is everything okay? But the fact that Jackie calls, gives Teresa and Jen a piece of information, and then Teresa's like, I unfollowed her. I'm going to follow her, and I'm going to like a pic. Oh, can't like that picture. Marge is in it. I'll like these pictures. That was hysterical. And it really shows the workings behind the scenes of that. Is all you need to do. Yeah. But all you need to do is be nice to Teresa. If you're nice to Teresa, then she will be nice to you. Like, it is a very interesting dynamic. And that's what I mean, where I feel like this show is held hostage by that relationship. She is so big and kind of legendary in certain ways that the show is kind of held hostage. Like, we're not going to get to the truth of her and Louis. We're not going to get to the truth of a lot of things. I think everybody on that show obviously covers up, but being so focused on Teresa or almost intimidated by Teresa, we don't really truly ever get to know people like Danielle. I think if you had another season without Melissa or Teresa or any of these ladies, Danielle would be a fascinating person to follow. She's got relationship issues with her father, her brother, but we'll never truly know because she's stuck on this season with these ladies that have been there forever and they have grudges that are like decades long.
Well, I think that it's hard to shine bright when you have already so many stars, right? Like you look up, like if the light's so bright and you look up in the sky, you don't see the stars. But then when there's something dim and there's not like a whole lot going on, then you can look up into the sky and you see the stars. So what an analogy I just gave you. But
whoa. Hey, take that, Kim D. You're not doing analogies like that on your podcast.
But I wanted to say too, on top of this, like for Teresa, I can see where people want to like kiss ass and kind of be there for her. But Teresa is a processor, and it reads on camera where there are people like, if you have Candace Diller Bassett on Real Housewives of Potomac and you clap at her, she's on it. She doesn't need to think about it. It's like quick. That woman is quick. And Teresa sits there and she goes, me? Don't do that. But she's processing and she's like, I'm going to leave. And then like Dolores said, she's like, oh, Dolores was like, oh, bitch, you're done.
Well, that's why it was. Yeah, that was great. It was like Jen Aiden speaks Teresa. So Jen Aiden was like, okay, Teresa's got to leave. And Dolores then was like, she's going to sit back there and process that for a couple of days. And then you're in real trouble. And I almost wish that they would cut to that scene instead of explaining it. They should say like 3 days later. And then it's Teresa waking up out of her bed going, mother effer, I'm coming for you. Like that would be hysterical. But it's true. We've seen that. There's like this, and we're all different types of people, but Teresa does. Like, it seems like sometimes there's a thing that doesn't connect in her brain until, like a couple of days later. And then she's furious. Then she builds that anger and builds that anger. It was a weirdly entertaining episode last night, but not for the reasons like a normal Good Housewives show should be. It's almost like the dysfunction is so rotted at the core that it makes for like this really weird viewing experience.
And I don't know if I missed something, but Danielle Cabral, obviously it's her bougie brunch, but Jen Fessler and Margaret, did they explain why they weren't there?
I don't know if they did. Messy Fessy and we got Marge Sr. having an esophagus issue, so obviously it's a virus that's not just in Beverly Hills. But Jen Fessler had the one scene with Marge and Melissa, I believe. But even Jen Fessler, she's one of those people that seems to be going over or trying to understand Teresa's side more, which obviously is going to have implications we see within that group. So it's really interesting. I just don't fully understand it. And then when you add all of the social media aspect of it in as well, it just makes for like a super, like it's really dark, You know
what I don't understand? Yes, but I do know. But I feel like Teresa's being treated like Willy Wonka with the golden ticket. And if you can make peace with Teresa, you get the golden ticket. And I feel like, Ryan, you and I at this point, like you're traveling from LA to New York, you're running these wildly successful shows, podcasts, YouTube, like you're just killing it. And
top of the world, you guys.
On top of the world. And your job is to dissect these shows and recap them. And then I'm looking at it and I feel like 9 times out of 10, we see newbies or people who are fairly new come in and they make one of two decisions. They're either going to be buddy best friends with the main person that they think is the star of the show, or they're going to take on the challenge to go against the star of the show. But it's never really like you don't get a whole lot of in between with newbies. And if you do, it's that Kayla and Tiffany girl or Kayla and Tiffany, the two girls that are at the other end of the table that we still don't know anything about.
I know, right? In fact, I don't even like you just mentioned their names and I was like, oh, is that their names? Like, like that's, I mean, and I will say, even bringing Dubai into it from last night, which I think a lot of people might have forgotten that it was on, is that, you have to sometimes really, for the audience, you have to hold their hands a little bit. And I thought, what a missed opportunity to sum up what happened in season 1 of Dubai for like 5 minutes, just to like invite new people in that you don't need to watch season 1 to watch season 2. But it's the same with Jersey, is that we have these new characters and we're barely getting them. I mean, they're on the periphery and we're not doing a great job at reintroducing them to the audience every week. But with Jersey, like, we do make a living out of dissecting these shows. And sometimes with Jersey, I'll throw my hands up in the air and go, I don't even know what is worth dissecting here. It's like the same again and again and again. And Melissa at this point, Melissa seems like there doesn't seem to be a lot of fight in her anymore. And she is just sitting back. And Teresa and I don't know. I found it interesting, the Jen Aiden, Melissa Gorga conversation of coming to that restaurant and trying to build a relationship on their own or, trying to get some forgiveness there. But at the same time, I was more curious how Teresa felt about Jen Aiden sitting down with Melissa. And I don't think we got that conversation between Jen Aiden and Teresa, because that to me was kind of interesting, because I would imagine that Teresa has a steel grip on Jen Aiden in some ways. But that's what it makes it seem like. It makes it seem like Teresa is the godfather of this whole thing. And what she says goes. And if you don't, you're messed up, that you are the enemy.
Right. And you know what? Jason made a good point to me because, Jason was a performer his whole life until he hit 30. And then what
do you mean? Like a dancer? What do you mean performer?
He was in Cirque du Soleil for 13 years. He was invited to the Olympics. He won the world championships, and I believe I'm saying that right. Jason, please. I'm sorry. I'm missing it right now. But yeah, he was a trampolinist, a gymnast, and he created the biggest show in Cirque du Soleil. And then he ripped
you guys, Up and Adam viewers right now, every time I come on this show, I learn a new fact from Adam where I'm kind of just like, wait, what happened? Like, it seems like Jason is potentially 200 years old because it seems like he's lived 200 years of a life that I'm like, wait, he has this other talent too? And wait, he used to manage over here? What is going on? Are you guys vampires or something? Like, I'm truly boggled every time I hear something other that you've done in your life. You're in real estate. This is the show that I want to see. Screw Jersey.
Do you remember that Disney movie, Princess and the Frog?
Of course I do, Adam. Come on.
So
I'm a
they
man.
put all of the things on him when he was in Cirque to be the dancer. So he was one of the ones dancing for the movie. So he had to spend a couple days covered in the things doing the dance. Yes.
Does he have pictures? Does he have pictures of himself like this?
We do. Should I just like blackmail him and put him on YouTube?
Don't send them to Kim D. Please do not send those pictures to Kim D. She'll blackmail.
No, I'm not going to give her any more content. She's going to use this video anyways to create more content.
But I think, but also, sorry to butt in there. I just want to say the show's shackled by Teresa because Teresa is immensely popular. Like you can't deny that fact, and you can't deny what she has done for Housewives. I just don't know how you continue her story within that group of women because she is so set on her way. Not trying to be offensive, but she is. So that's why I always suggest maybe a spinoff for her and her daughters and Louis. Maybe she can be in control of that because I don't think that she is able at this point because she is so respected in certain circles that she can play within the confines of a Housewives show anymore. And I'm trying to say that as gently as possible.
I heard from somebody through production that there is a spinoff in the works. But as you guys know, or if you guys don't know, Ryan definitely knows, when you come up with these things, like even the Valley that we're all enjoying watching right now, that was curated 2 years before, and they go through the process. They have to put together a cast. Then they have to kind of storyboard it. Then they have to test it, which then turns.
Well, and the only reason they got picked up was because Scandival was so popular. They were finally able to launch the show on the backs of an insanely successful season of Vanderpump Rules. So you got to do it the right place. And that's why I find it so unfortunate that Dubai launched when we were getting sagging ratings on Real Housewives of New Jersey. It's the same thing with Summer House Martha's Vineyard. It got such bad ratings, unfortunately. People weren't showing up. And you have to have a really strong season of a show to launch a new Bravo show or any show on television. And that's why I was like, oh my God, because last week was like the worst ratings for Jersey. And I was like, man, I hope people show up. So at least Dubai will get some viewers because you don't want to be in for a whole second season of Dubai where none of us show up to watch.
Well, and yes. Oh, shit. So I have two things. Guys, I was hit on the head. So it's like, squirrel. I got to hit two things here. One, the time slot, not a fan of. And that's kind of annoying. And they did the same thing to Family Karma. They put Family Karma at the same time slot as Yellowstone. That was fucked up. And we know that. But then two, Jason said something to me the other day that made a lot of sense. Like a lot of people on these shows, when we were talking about Melissa Gorga, who's sitting there when Teresa and Danielle and everybody's going back and forth, and she has like the big reactions, but she's just rolling her eyes. She's not saying too much. When you're on a stage, you play out to an audience. You have to like put that energy out there. It's big. When you're on TV, you have to be small about it. So it's even those small, like little, like eye rolls that like they land and we're like, listen, me too, girl. Me too. You didn't even have to say anything. And me too. And it's like kind of wild. He made a point and I'm like, that's not, oh, that is true. Yep. That's true. Yep.
Yeah.
You hit it.
Yeah.
But all right.
Yeah.
So
wait, by the way, Dubai actually is not going to stay on Sunday nights. They're moving it. Remember, like next week's episode is going to be on the 11th, I believe, or like it's going to be next Wednesday. I think they're moving to Wednesdays from this point on, which I found interesting. And I didn't know if that was all. Yeah, maybe. I didn't know if it was always the plan, but they are not keeping it on Sunday nights.
Oh, they're taking the Vanderpump Rules slot, and they're going to be right next to the Valley.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's what I read That's what I read last night. So,
well, I guess they're not going to be next to the Valley because the Valley is this week.
Well, it's done. Yeah, no reunion. Come on, people. Let's smash that like button. We've got, I don't even know how many in the room. Let's smash that like button. I know this is
500 in the room, guys. Smash the like button. But no, I think that the time slot is, I think that the time slot is super important. And I think that sometimes, like placement can put you in a place of awful ratings, which leads to you guys getting canceled. Like, listen, there are some shows that when I see them get canceled, I'm like, "Ugh, I get it. Real Housewives of Dubai, I got it, you guys. Summer House, I'm surprised Summer House is not canceled yet. I'm not talking about Martha's
Oh, how
Vineyard.
dare you? Summer House is amazing,
Lindsay
Adam.
and Carl, I'm watching
How
it and I'm
dare
like,
you?
how the hell are we still watching this? And then Winter House, when
Adam.
they canceled that, I was like,
I understand on Winter House, but how this was a fantastic season of Summer House, and I fantastic, you guys. I am sorry. I will stand up for Summer House. Summer House Hive,
No, but
rise up.
they have, listen, I'm talking about, let me just preface this by saying, I'm talking about before this season, I would watch the show. I would try to get into it. This season, it got me, but it got me on the heels of a scandal. And it wasn't a scandal. It was a breakup before, like Scandal was a scandal.
Yeah, it was a really, because we already knew the outcome. It was just going to be exciting to watch how we got to that outcome.
Right. It's like almost like when they play Harry Potter and then all of a sudden now J.K. Rowling's like, I'm going to do the prequel. We needed the prequel.
Yes.
We needed to know how we got here. And
well, I'm glad you backtracked on your comments, because I was like, you don't deserve Summer House if that's how you're going to talk about Summer. You do not deserve Summer House, because that was a but also that's why I watch every season of Jersey, even though I don't fully cover it on my show. I watch every season because I support these shows. And you watch these shows because sometimes, like a sports team, you're going to have an off season, but you watch them in hopes of the next season, they're going to kill it. Because if they have the right cast in place, when real drama hits, it's going to launch it's going to launch to space. It's going to be so good because they have these real relationships. And that's what we invest in, is these characters. But if Jersey is rotted with these characters when tragedy hits, they're not going to be able to capture it in any real way because everybody's so used to moving in mysterious ways behind the scenes. It's unfortunate, because I'm like, I don't know what I question is, can Jersey actually have an amazing season at this point? Or are we kind of hitched our wagon to these characters that will never truly tell us the real truth and the real behind the scenes going on? And I'm not talking just about Teresa and Jen. Obviously a lot of people will say Marge and Margaret's making moves. Like, it just seems there's so many different factions behind the scenes that what's happening behind the scenes is way more interesting than what we're seeing on screen. Is that fair?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I don't think that just specifically applies to Jersey. I think that Vanderpump Rules with the finale, and we see that last moment where they are breaking the fourth wall. Like 3 years ago when I interviewed or sat down with Kelly Dodd and Rick Leventhal, Kelly Dodd said, and you guys might love her, you might hate her, you might think a lot of things about her.
Happy Pride, Kelly.
When it comes to Happy Pride, Kelly. When it comes to TV, the woman knows good TV. And I'm telling you this from conversations that I've had with her. And she said, if reality TV wants to evolve and they want to stick around, they want the longevity, it's more entertaining as somebody who has been talent, what goes on behind the scenes with production, producers, and breaking that fourth wall. Those conversations are way more entertaining than sticking us at a table for 8 hours and waiting and being like, dance. We need you to do something, because the conversations behind the scenes, it's like crazy. And that's what they started to show last year with Shannon saying, I'm not doing this.
Yes.
This is my real life.
And she's trying to rip her mic pack off her body, and she's like a little tipsy. Yeah.
She's
Those moments, as an audience member, for me personally, I get chills. I'm like, because it forces you to realize this is a real life moment instead of a stage setup scene. And those are to me, those are priceless. I love those so much. And I think we've just come to a place in reality television, and maybe with Housewives and Bravo in general, that we need those moments. We need those moments to evolve, because we've now had 18, 19 years of Housewives. How do we evolve and we go into the new stratosphere with reality shows? And is it more about breaking that fourth wall? And also, I would argue that sometimes these people that have been on these shows for this long, their minds kind of rot. They start thinking like producers. They start thinking of storylines, and you want people to act naturally or to behave like they really are. And I think that's initially when Teresa first started on Jersey. she couldn't help but be real. I mean, the table flip was so real. You saw that emotion. You saw her not being able to connect the dots and then like being so angry all of a sudden. That was so real. And we all knew it. We all saw it. And I think that's what we gravitate towards. But we want to see those real life moments like Shannon Bedore ripping off her mic pack. We want to see their real reactions to those scenarios instead of somebody that's like, well, I know what makes good TV. You usually don't. When you say that, you usually don't know what makes good TV anymore, and you've lost the plot. I would argue that's a little bit about what Lala did this season on Vanderpump, or certain cast members, they get too lost in the sauce. They start thinking about how the show is produced and how the audience views it instead of just being their natural selves. And they're cast for a reason because they have some sort of star quality.
It's almost like it goes back to like that kind of, I don't know what the saying is, but it's like sometimes when you're in it, you don't see everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And then when you take yourself out of it, you can kind of see a little bit more clearly because you're not so immersed into it. And I think that piggybacks off of what you were just saying about Lala. But then I have to ask you, because in real reality TV, the way that, and just as a viewer watching people, I feel like in covering these shows, when you have somebody who's like, prostitution whore, and like screaming, and then you have somebody who's, I'm not doing this with you. I'm not. You're trash. I'm not. They win because you have a moment and they're like, I'm not engaging in this.
Wait, so you're saying the person that has the moment, the person that explodes wins?
No, I'm thinking that in my opinion, the person who's like, I know what you're doing. You're trying to get a moment. I'm not giving it to you. So flip the table. I don't care.
Yeah.
I feel like they win. But then last night, because I think that like when Jason said to me, like things are bigger on TV, last night watching Rachel Fuda be like, you're a stupid bitch. I was like, oh, that's, I looked at it. And sometimes, Ryan, I got a foul mouth, man. Sometimes I have a really foul mouth.
You're so dirty,
like,
dude.
I'm dirty. Actually, I just went tanning and I didn't shower yet, so I am kind of dirty. But I'm gonna say this really quick, that like those things, like even me, it takes a lot to like kind of put me on my ass about things, like with my feelings, because my family is just also very aggressively dirty with their mouths. And then when I heard her, I'm like, oh, I see the impact. I see the impact of you being like, you're a stupid bitch. I'm like, oh my God, that's so aggressive. Like, no, this is a TV. Guys, this is a job. You don't have to, it's not that deep. And then Teresa, she was like, really? Really? And then she drops a little cotton candy. He's a parking attendant, right? And she's like, yeah, he's a parking attendant. He makes $5 an hour. Yeah, he's a parking attendant. Really, you stupid bitch? And she was like, I'm not going to do this right now. I'm going to take I'm going to take
the gifts. And my daughter has a volleyball tournament. And listen, I thought that was like, Fuda was so funny because she really like went so hard in the paint by going, you stupid bitch. And I felt like she was trying to draw Teresa out. And I almost went too hard because I was like, all of a sudden she's just like cursing at Teresa. And I was like, dude, there is a thing of like work up to like the things that you're saying. But I think almost Rachel, and I feel like the producers got in her ear a little bit of like, try to draw Teresa out, try to make Teresa angry. And Teresa was like a deer in headlights. And like, she wasn't, she was getting hit so hard. She ran, it was really weird to watch.
But like Dolores said,
guys, we're only at 102 likes. Come on.
He's going to sit on it.
Do you guys hate me this much? Come on. I need this.
It's okay. The replay crew comes in. All right. So now from there, I want to talk about something that's a little bit more serious, because it's honestly, and I know that you guys might not feel the same sentiment, but it's somebody who has been so kind to me. She's always a sweetheart, and she's never asked me for a thing. It's Margaret Joseph. She's always been so nice to my husband. Just exactly. She is just like the sweetest. The people that she surrounds herself with, her husband. She came to my live show in New York. I love her, but watching her last night struggle with this, I was like, with the Jan of it all, and the fact that Joe is so supportive, understanding I can't help you with that. And this isn't about me. My mom is married and her ex-husband passed away. And there was a moment where I think that my stepdad was like, Why are you upset? Why are you crying? Like, why is this hitting you that way? You shouldn't care. And she's like, what do you mean I shouldn't care? I had over a decade of my life with this person. Even though I think that he is X, Y, and Z, I still care. And it takes a really, really strong personality to be like, you're suffering. This impacted you. There's a history here. And whatever you need, I know I can't fix this, but I can be here to support you. I'm like, can we all have a Joe Benigno?
Joe Benigno?
Benigno?
Well,
Benigno?
yeah, I mean,
Joe, can we change your last name to Newell?
But this is my point about this, and I also want to say about Margaret is, you know, I see a lot of, you know, just as not as many, but a lot of negative things about Margaret as I do Teresa and like every cast member on Jersey. But I will say, for all of the other cast members, I have a fairly decent sized podcast. Nobody has ever reached out from Jersey on either side and said, hey, could you plant a story? Could you do this? Nobody's ever reached out to me. Like, I mean, like maybe it's, so I find it interesting when I hear even like Margaret's done it or Teresa and Jen's done it. But I also want to say, this is another reason why this show is shackled down by like the Teresa and Melissa storyline in some ways, is because Margaret has a very real storyline right now. And I was reading people like not buying it, but I'm like, a couple episodes ago when they were at the hamburger stand, her and Joe Benigno, they were having another honest conversation about Jan dying, her ex. And I was like really taken with that conversation. And I think, of course, it's because, you know, my mom passed away this year. So I was just thinking about that, of how death affects us and how death, and you almost seemed like Margaret in that scene and a little bit in this scene last night. There is a resignation where I think, you know, and maybe we read into it, but that's what the audience does, is that she seems like, I don't know where I'm going in life. Like, I just don't feel good. I don't feel good. I don't feel right. I don't feel like my normal self. And I think those to me are such real storylines, but they're overshadowed by all this BS that we've dealt with for the last decade. And that's what I'm talking about. We don't even pay attention to these real storylines that usually get highlighted on a show like this, where people like me go, oh, I can see a little bit of myself in that. And I think those are really important scenes to have. And I'm so glad you brought it up, because otherwise I probably would have forgotten about it, because we're so focused on that last moment with Teresa and Fuda.
Right. And then Teresa obviously going over to Danielle Cabral's place, and she is excited. She's celebrating the fact that she is closing a show at New York Fashion Week with bougie kids. And she shows the items, and I thought that they looked really cute. And Teresa said basic, and she's like, not basic, but I think what she meant is like simplicity sells, and it's simplistic. Like, there's not a whole, this is great, you know? And I think that that didn't translate into what she was saying, because obviously we know that Teresa is no wordsmith. She kind of sometimes like fumbles on these things, but the message there, one of the few times I've actually realized, oh, she wasn't shading your line. She was saying, I got the same thing. It is basic, but basic in the best way of being simplistic. And simplicity, like if I had a kid, I wear all black all the time, you guys. Like, I walk around and I dress like Steve Jobs with the bank account of like somebody that you're passing on the street. That's like,
we love that about you. We love that about you, though. That's I love that. I know I'm going to show up and you're going to be in the tight black shirt. You're going to be the black hat. I think people like, that's what I think people love about you. You know, like, you are Adam.
It's just the same shit. I feel like I'm like I had Dave Neal the other day on, who covers everything, and he's like, you're like the Darth Vader of Bravo. And I was like,
how dare you, Dave?
I'm fully going to lean into that.
Yeah.
The Darth Vader of Bravo.
The Darth Adam. I am Darth Adam. I am Darth
Adam. Okay. Also, I got another problem. And the only problem that I have, listen, if I were the size of Frank Catania, maybe I wouldn't have this problem, because Frank Catania is a big ass man.
I love that scene with the family at the beginning, by the way. I like that scene.
I'm just afraid you're running around with an 11-carat diamond in your pocket. I love that he got down on his knees with Dolores in the restaurant, and people were like clapping, and he's like, no, I'm practicing it. I'm practicing it for my girlfriend. I was like, oh my God, I'm shocked that didn't go on like Dumois or something. I was gonna say really quick. Sorry, I was trying to close the door. I was gonna say really quick with this. Do you think for Joe or for Frank, do you think that this with Brittany Maslock, that this is actually going to last? That's my question.
I mean, relationships are tough, right? But I mean, they've been together now for many years. I don't think. I mean, Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, I think he wouldn't actually pop the question because it's been so long since he's been married. That I would think so. I mean, unless he does something really stupid, I think it'll last. What do you think?
Personally, I feel like I I think it'll last. I think that for Joe or for Frank, I keep on wanting everybody's name Joe. For Frank, I think that he's been with her long enough, and I think that there's a mutual respect within the family. I think that Dolores found a good guy who has been able to, and I love Paul, understand the family dynamic and how close they are and how important that is, especially when you're going through a 10-year divorce and you're asking Dolores to understand that, then he has to understand the importance to Dolores, the same thing with her kids. And I think that we've accomplished that. And then for Frank, I love that Brittany is like, Dolores, you look beautiful. Dolores, I love your kids. Dolores, you're a great mother. I'm like, this is a confident woman who's like, you had him. It didn't work out. I know that Frank loves you. I know he wants to be around you and the kids that you created. And I think that's amazing. I'm like, there's not a lot of people out there, regardless of what people might say, like, oh, okay, well, good for her. It's like, unless I just grew up in a completely toxic situation, which I did, this really, it shocks me in the best way. I think that this is like it's a beautiful thing to be able to be like, look at you guys, and like for Dolores to be like, you're proposing to her with an 11-carat diamond. There's no animosity. There's no disdain for it.
I'm sure there's a little bit of relief. I'm sure there's a little bit of relief of like, good. I'm so glad you are finding love. But like I said, with any man, it's going to be hard because it's just like, it won't, if he does something stupid, like he's done in the past and how he did it, with Dolores in the first place, that's the thing you got to watch out for. But once again, relationships, and we were just talking about Marge and Joe and Jan, relationships are so difficult and twisted, and they take so many different turns. And I think somebody in the comments before just said about, well, Marge cheated on Jan, Well, that doesn't mean that you still like can't have deep feelings for somebody. Like, it doesn't mean you still didn't go through some sort of war with somebody. In fact, like, you probably went through so many intense feelings because you did what you did towards your partner. I mean, I think that might have even deepened her feelings in some ways. But I think this, to me, is kind of interesting to talk about, of like, people finding love again. And like, after so much time has passed, is that for Brittany, it's probably a lot different of an experience than Catania, because he's been married before. He knows how this works. He's also seen it not work. So there's probably a natural trepidation to get into another marriage because he's seen that the last one didn't go perfectly. But I think these kind of fractured relationships and families are really interesting to focus on. But like I said, it's so funny. I walked away last night just thinking about Fuda and Teresa when there was like all these other scenes that are kind of interesting to talk about.
Yeah, but then also kind of, I feel like to add on that for a second, like, I don't know, because I think that some of them are doing their job and they're doing a really good job of being open and vulnerable. And then I think that some of them are trying to stick to their guns and kind of like throw their weight around with Bravo. And I don't know what the future of a show like this will look like with those two opposing parties kind of going after each other the way that they are. And then all of a sudden we get the information that the reunion is canceled. For you, I have to ask, what do you think that means?
So we're finally with the reunion question.
We're with the reunion. Did you know it was coming? Did you know it was coming?
Well, first off, I mean, they said there's not going to be a traditional reunion, which I don't know what that means, traditional. So that doesn't mean that there's not going to be some sort of closing. But to me,
I didn't think about that.
Well, to me, it makes it seem like we're 3 episodes into this season. Why would you put this out publicly on People Magazine confirming it? Why would you do that? Is there almost an element of threatening the cast of like, you guys blew it, you better get your shit together? Is there an element of that, of almost putting it out this early? Because I think when you put it out this early, it makes the audience go, well, what are we investing in? If we're not going to see some sort of resolution or see a conversation about it at the end, what are we even doing here? And I know that might sound silly, but sometimes you're like, well, I need that. Even though the reunions don't truly really close up anything or heal wounds, you still kind of expect that. But I think there has been so much insanity with the social media aspect of it all and what that information is with Melissa's nose or, all of these other accounts getting involved and spilling information. I think it's really confusing. And I really would like some kind of summary at the end of this season of what the hell happened behind the scenes. Like we need a Bravo Action News special report of, I'm Ryan Bailey reporting directly from Real House, New Jersey. And this is what went down in the DMs. Like I want somebody to walk us through exactly what happened, how it broke down, why this is happening in the first place. And then we can move on. But I just think there's been a breakdown with so many cast members. And I just don't know if they felt it was too toxic to invest in and spend the money in a reunion. What are you hearing? Because you are so much more in the know than I am.
No, I heard one thing. And it was from somebody like close to everything. I think the idea that they're afraid about right now is that there is a potential spinoff that is going to be tested, obviously, into a pilot with one of the cast members, and that there obviously is a huge divide. And if you guys remember, based off of the person who told me this, said, I think that we're either going to have a reboot or a recast at this point. And I was like, for Jersey, that just sounds crazy because we've fallen in love with these families. And I feel like there's only two real people here that are creating the issue because they're the ones who can't talk, which is creating the divide. And I think if you took one of them out, you could have a great show. But now, if everyone, history sometimes repeats itself. Last time that we dropped a reunion was New York, and look what happened. You know what I mean? Like, look where they're at.
Yeah. Well, they're building. They're building.
They're building with a reboot.
Yeah. Well, also with and also giving Teresa and Louis a spinoff or whoever they would do that to. I think it's great because even if you say you're not going to watch it, well, let the ratings then decide. Like maybe it will appease, maybe it will fix things. Who knows? Because these people are
with the Valley.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Bravo invested in these characters. They invested. So this is an investment to them. And they want to find a way to actually be able to make their money, to be able to return on investment. So you just don't throw away people. And that's why the door is usually always open for most housewives to return. Except for the people that participated in Reality Reckoning. So I think that's kind of the exciting thing. And you see that I want a reality show about housewives trying to get back on their show and the crazy lengths they'll go to do that, because it seems like once they're let go of the show, they go through every motion to try to get back on the show. Like we saw it with Tamra back in the day. And for Tamra, it worked. But even with Jackie Goldstein, Jackie kind of played her cards right for her, where she was like, oh, all I have to do is kind of like see Teresa's side a little bit more, and boom, she's back in there because she didn't go into this season being a regular.
Right. And she's still not. She's she's
popping up a lot. She's going to be a big storyline.
Listen, and Kristen Doty, I love you. She's popping up more than Kristen Doty Valley right now.
I know they've got to figure a way to get Doty more integrated, and it's tough because you're basing that on real relationships, and it's hard.
All right. Okay. So now that we covered that, I do have to ask you guys. We're almost 50 minutes in. 500. Smash the like button. My next question is obviously last night you watched The Real Housewives of Dubai minus Nina Ali. Let's add Talene, right?
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah. Listen, it's what I said earlier. I thought they did a real disservice to the show by not giving us a little bit of a recap so they can welcome new viewers in, because they've waited so long in between seasons that a lot of us even forgot what we saw in the first season. And I think you want to welcome as many new eyes into this. And it's not a reboot, but you got to treat this almost like a new show at this point and try to really make people comfortable coming in because it has so much going for it. It has extreme wealth. These women are beautiful. Chanel is, Ion is coming ready to play. Caroline is always hysterical. You got these building blocks. I just don't really know a lot from the first episode where we're going. I still see extreme wealth. That's great. They introduced me to a new tennis game, racket or whatever that they were playing.
Yeah.
I was like, is that just fancier pickleball? I'm not even sure. So the building blocks are there. And I think we were all sent like 3 episodes. I've only watched the first one. So I'm excited to watch it. I'm going to support, but I just feel like the advertising for this show, and I know it's not talking about the show directly, the advertising for this show, I just feel like has not been as dialed in as it should be, and reaching out to not just people like us, but just the Bravo fan of like, do not be intimidated by a second season of a show that you didn't watch the first season of. Treat this like new, because the character, I mean, like Caroline Stanbury is so entertaining to me. Like I love watching her. I love watching Sergio. I love Chanel. There's so many different building blocks here. Like, you know, watching what's her name go through her spiritual journey. I'm like, we have a spiritual journey happening. She's screaming into a pillow. That's amazing. These are all little building blocks you need for a Housewives show. It's just, how do we integrate it? How do we start conversations and disagreements and things like that? And I just feel like sometimes there's a perception with the audience of like, well, I didn't watch the first season, I'm not going to invest in this. And, you know, I used to do that with shows back in the day. I didn't hop on the Real Housewives of Miami train when it first aired. And now I go back and watch it and I go, this show was amazing. So it really, I'm curious to see what we're going to get. I just get worried that it's almost, it's going to be a long hill. Like it's going to be a long hill to climb for this show. What did you think overall?
I thought that it was a great, listen, I love the change in dynamics. I love that. I think that with every good Bravo show, Housewives show, whatever it is, I think that it's obviously the basic formula is conflict resolution, right? So the fact that we have Chanel Ayan and also Caroline Stanbury now right out of the gate, I'm like, oh, this is good. Now we have a switch up. It's not the same thing. It's a new dynamic. We get to play into it. How is that going to make Elisa feel? It makes a lot of sense to me. And that part I enjoy, because it's kind of like we gave it a lot of time, and obviously a lot of dynamics shifted. And I think that's the exact same thing that they're trying to do with Vanderpump Rules before the new season. I think that they're trying to give it a lot of time, or a little bit of time.
But Adam, it's much different because Vanderpump Rules is a very successful show that's been on 11 seasons. Dubai's been on 1. So if they give Vanderpump Rules a lot of time, we're still going to come back because we're invested in those characters over many, many years. Dubai it does not have that.
It's more of a gamble.
Yeah, it's not like The Sopranos where they would take 2 years in between seasons and everybody was like, it's The Sopranos, we love it. Like Dubai still needs to build that core fan base. And I think it can do it. I just feel like people have got to show up for it. And I'm really curious to see the Bravo ratings from last night.
You know, there are people too, me too. But there are people too who automatically won't watch Dubai from what I've done. I feel like even when I do polls or conversations here on YouTube, it's like I'm doing my own R&D. And I'm looking at what people are saying. And a lot of people, no matter what, just because Dubai is like one of the main cast members of the show and what it stands for, people feel like there are a lot of beliefs there that they don't want to support. So with that, they're automatically not going to support this specific franchise, you know? So you coming out of the gate, you have an issue, and you have to try to figure out how to navigate that issue, because it's not necessarily saying that, you know, you have 6 women, not being Nina Ali, but being Talene. You have 6 women who stand for those same beliefs, but they're filming in a place that's been known for certain things that people don't want to support. So now automatically coming out of the gate, you're not just like racing around the track. You're racing around a track that they just put a big ass mountain in the middle of. And now you got to climb the mountain. You got to figure out how to get over it. And if you can't get over it, that's on you.
I mean, so that's where I kind of start with. But yeah, I'll be seated. I'll be watching every episode. I hope something really grabs me. I think they got a lot of building blocks in place. I can't wait to see Caroline's house finished. I mean, like there are things that I'm interested in seeing, but we'll see. It's like 1 episode.
You know that Jason does, he helps with Caroline's business, right?
You know, I knew you knew Caroline because of like the first BravoCon a couple years ago. You were all up at that, you know, but dude, tell Jay, if I could ever get an interview with Caroline Stanbury, that would be a dream, because I just think she, from Ladies of London to I just think she is fantastic. And Sergio cracks me up as well. But yeah, she's like a favorite of mine. So I'm really excited, and I want it to be successful.
It's funny, and I'm not going to give too much away, but I love when Jason's like, I have to do a Zoom with Sergio and Caroline. And I'm like,
oh my God,
okay, I'm going to film. So I'll go down and I'll hear in the office, because you can hear loud, and it's honey.
And I love that. I love that dynamic. I think it's funny.
He's like, honey, why are you taking the elevator? She's like, darling, I'm taking the elevator. I got to go. And he's like, honey. And Jason's like, I don't know what, but they're such great TV. And if people can
It
see,
really
like,
is.
even at BravoCon and watch them in person, they're
really like that.
they're so entertaining. Like, I
Well,
love
hey,
Caroline and
Adam,
Kendall.
I'm so sorry. I got to go to my next interview.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
10.
yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yes,
Yeah. It's 10. But thank you guys. Anybody that liked, I hope this was okay. Thank you for being here. And my show is So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. You can check it out if you want. We're on YouTube
Ryan,
as
I
well.
am so sorry.
No, all good. I just,
Yeah.
I have the other person waiting and I just wanted to finish this, but thank you guys for
Ryan,
being
I
here.
love you.
hope
I'll
this is
text you later, man.
Yeah. Bye, man. Thank you.
Bye. All right, guys. So, oh my God, that was such a douchey thing to do to Ryan. I told him that I would keep him for 45 minutes. That is so rude. That is not what I was trying to do. But guys, if you're not following Ryan, definitely go check Ryan out. We have lasted over an hour. Oh my God, I feel so bad, you guys. I'm like looking at the clock, like I literally promised that. And I know that there's so much going on, but I'm always so respectful of everyone's time. Like, I'm kicking myself in the teeth for that. That was so rude. Oof. Guys, please go follow Ryan on all of your social medias, all of his social medias. Go check out his podcast and his YouTube channel. He is absolutely amazing. He checks out all of the events, goes to everything, and he is great to listen to. Man, I'm seeing what you guys are saying. It's okay, Adam. Don't worry, Adam. He doesn't blame you. Guys, I hate that. When it comes to time management, I'm usually the best. Can I just say really quick before we jump off here too? 418 in the room. We have a new business being launched this month. New business, new puppy, 3 dogs, 2 naked wussies. I can't say the P word on here. Just moved. Let's out of business. Jason's now down on King Street. And I'm like, I got to catch up on life. And I got to be more aware. I can't just like waste people's time. Anyways, happy Monday, you guys. I love you so much. I can't wait to share everything that we have going on. You guys are going to freak out when you find out. I promise you. But, and I also can't wait to share our new business with you guys. You're going to die, especially the name. You're going to be like, bitch, this is insane. And I'm going to be like, I know. But guys, anyways, pop off in the comment section, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Love you.